Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into something you've probably seen 100 times online, but maybe never really thought twice about. We're breaking down the hidden mechanics and honestly the absolutely staggering scale of the $70 billion buy now, pay later industry. You know the one? You're at checkout, and there's that little button promising a simpler, smarter way to split up your payments. But beneath that super smooth, incredibly easy interface, there is a massive parallel credit system operating mostly in the shadows. We're going to look at the real data, follow the money, and uncover exactly how this system is designed to keep you and the credit bureaus completely in the dark.
So, picture this. It's the morning of March 7th. A 27-year-old graphic designer in Austin, Texas, wakes up, opens her banking app, and stares at a negative balance of $412. The crazy part? She had just gotten paid exactly 2 days earlier. So she's frantically scrolling through her transactions, right? Looking for fraud, looking for some weird bank error, looking for anything that didn't belong. But everything belonged. Every single charge was hers. She just couldn't remember agreeing to all of them at once. Here's the thing. She hadn't maxed out a credit card. She'd never walked into a bank to ask for a loan. Her name wasn't on some sketchy payday lending site. But what she had done, over the course of about 14 months, was just casually tap a button that said Pay in 4 on nearly every online purchase she made. A pair of running shoes here, a skincare set there, a birthday gift, a desk lamp, small stuff. Each one felt so tiny it just disappeared into the rhythm of her life. But when she finally sat down and added up every single active installment plan she had going across Klarna, Afterpay, and Affirm, she made a jaw-dropping realization. She owed $3,800. She was carrying nearly $4,000 in debt that no bank, no lender, and no credit bureau could even see. Now, there is a massive contrast between the pitch we all see and the reality. The marketing pitch, it's honestly flawlessly designed. You buy something, you pay 25% up front, and the rest just gets split into 3 more payments over 6 weeks. No interest, no hard credit check, instant approval. On the surface, it sounds like literally the most consumer-friendly financial product ever invented, but the harsh reality is entirely different. Instead of a simple path to ownership, users end up with this stacked debt from multiple overlapping payment plans that quietly hit their bank accounts all at the exact same time, usually right when rent is due. And instead of building credit, they're suddenly hit with aggressive late fees if even a single automated payment fails.
Let's actually look at what regulators are seeing right now. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau released a market report in December 2025, and the numbers are just mind-blowing. Buy now, pay later originations across just the 6 largest providers reached 335.8 million loans in a single year. That totals over $45 billion. The average borrower wasn't just making one purchase either. They were taking out about 6 loans per year per lender. And because 63% of users are hopping between multiple platforms, the average user is actually running 12 to 13 concurrent installment plans at the exact same time. So that designer in Austin, she wasn't being reckless. Statistically speaking, she was perfectly average.
When we zoom in on what's really happening to consumer wallets, the CFPB found that the average buy now, pay later borrower held over $22,000 in total unsecured consumer debt. The buy now, pay later stuff made up about 17% of that total. But here is the absolutely critical part to understand. People splitting purchases into 4 easy payments are not avoiding other debt. They're stacking it. These users actually carry, on average, $871 more in credit card debt and $453 more in personal loans than non-users. They aren't replacing traditional debt at all. They're just adding a dense, complicated layer right on top of it. Regulators actually have a specific name for this whole phenomenon. They call it phantom debt. It's this invisible layer of consumer borrowing because most of these providers simply do not report these pay in 4 loans to the 3 major credit bureaus. Your FICO score has absolutely no idea this debt even exists. Imagine a borrower with 10 active installment plans walking into a bank for a car loan. The traditional lender pulls their credit report and sees a person with 0 installment obligations. This isn't some weird glitch or an accidental gap in the data. This is the system. It is deliberately designed to keep traditional lenders completely oblivious.
Which brings us to a huge misconception and how this system really manipulates consumer perception. According to a Lending Tree tracker from February 2026, 62% of users wrongly believe that using these platforms is building their credit score. Spoiler alert, it doesn't. Most providers give you 0 credit for paying on time. The upside is entirely invisible. But the downside? Oh, that is permanent. If you miss a payment, the late fees kick in fast, like Klarna charging $7 after 10 days or Afterpay charging $8, which is often capped at 25% of the whole purchase price. And if you default entirely, that gets sent straight to collections, which definitely shows up on your credit report and follows you for 7 long years. It's essentially a toll booth with no receipt.
Naturally, This invisible strain on the consumer builds significantly over time, and it's eventually cracking the foundation. LendingTree's annual report, published in April 2026, shows this dramatic visual escalation in late payment rates. Back in 2024, 34% of users had made a late payment. In 2025, it rose to 41%. And by 2026, a staggering 47% of users had fallen behind in the past year. That is a 13-point jump in just 2 years. Nearly half of all users are now actively struggling to manage payments that were specifically marketed to them as being stress-free and painless.
And what they're actually buying has fundamentally changed too. This isn't just about financing a luxury item anymore, like a fancy new couch or a vacation. It has become a really grim survival mechanism. 29% of users are now using these loans just to buy daily groceries. That's double the rate from just 2 years ago. For Gen Z, it's 38%. Even more alarming, more than half of all users say they literally wouldn't be able to make ends meet without these loans, and that number skyrockets to 62% among parents with kids under 18. Think about that for a second. People are splitting a normal grocery run into 4 payments just to afford to eat.
Now, I want to deliver a bit of a mathematical gut punch here. Let's calculate the real opportunity cost of all this. Our Austin designer carried an average of $3,800 in this debt over 14 months. If we assume she kept an average outstanding balance of about $1,900, let's look at what that money could have actually done for her. If she had put that $1,900 into a basic S&P 500 index fund earning a 10% average annual return, in 10 years it would be nearly $5,000. In 20 years, almost $13,000. And in 30 years, $33,154. She didn't just lose her initial cash to consumer goods. She lost the $33,000 that her money was supposed to become.
And remember, she is just one person. Zooming way out to the macro level, the Richmond Federal Reserve estimated the total transaction value of this industry reached $70 billion in 2025. It's been growing roughly 20% every single year since 2021. This is a massive $70 billion parallel credit system. And what's truly alarming to regulators is that it operates with virtually no oversight, no standardized reporting, and absolutely none of the robust consumer protections you'd normally expect when dealing with this kind of volume.
The regulatory landscape trying to handle this is a perfect example of whiplash. Check this out. In May 2024, the CFPB tried to issue a rule classifying these providers as credit card issuers, which would have demanded proper billing statements and dispute rights for consumers. Sounds fair, right? But by May 2025, they withdrew that rule entirely, confirming they wouldn't even replace it. Meanwhile, FICO announced it would finally start incorporating this data into credit scores in the fall of 2025, trying to bring this invisible debt into the light. Yet, as recently as May 2026, Senate Democrats were still sending letters to credit bureaus just trying to figure out how the heck this is all being managed. Government protections remain totally stuck in 1985, while this industry just explodes.
Let's bring the narrative back to our graphic designer in Austin, though. There is a way out, and her story actually has a really great resolution. She successfully paid off her phantom debt in 7 months. She went in, did the hard work, and completely canceled her accounts on all 3 platforms. She broke the cycle. But, as she'll tell you, it wasn't just about paying the money back. It was about breaking the psychological hold that the system had deliberately built around her.
She told a financial educator something super profound. She said the hardest part wasn't actually the money. The hardest part was realizing that every single time she tapped that little button, she genuinely believed she was making a smart, responsible choice. And that's exactly what it's designed to do. The beautiful, seamless interface is engineered to make borrowing feel like a really savvy budgeting tool. It always tells you pay later. It never ever says borrow now. 45% of users even say they wouldn't change their habits if it affected their credit score, purely because they've been so thoroughly trained to believe this isn't real debt. But as we've seen, the math tells a completely different story.
So I want to leave you with this final, somewhat provocative question. What is your real number? You might have these apps on your phone right now. You might be telling yourself exactly what millions of others are. A, it's not really debt, I'm just splitting up the payment. I challenge you to log into every single platform you use, add up every single active installment, write down the total on a piece of paper. If that number surprises you, remember, it was supposed to. This entire system depends on you never doing the math. Don't let a slick button make your financial decisions for you. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you in the next one.